Holy shit. I want you to prepare now. And I want you to understand the why behind what I'm talking about. This is not hype, hopium. This is an understanding of true macro microeconomics. And I want to break it down in simplistic form. And if you can make it through this whole video, on the back end, I'm going to share with you what I'm doing defensively and offensively. I'm going to open up the floodgates, show you exactly what I'm doing with true authenticity. And that's the key. This is the era of authenticity. But if you don't understand that your financial system is completely being rewired as you know it, then you have to wake up. Now remember, this is my research. Do your own research. I'm only going to tell you what I'm doing. Make sure you always trust, but always verify. So I want to help you understand what the monetary system is and what it is not. How do you navigate through this? This is nothing new under the sun. So if you go back to 1907, before 1907, our money was attached to reality. Land, gold, silver, our labor was traded for real assets. But after 1907, there was a great collapse. And around 1907, there was tons of different currencies in the United States. We're going into stable coins. Everybody's going to have their own currency. And then from 1907 to 1913, there was a group of bankers that got together, created what's called the Federal Reserve. You can go do your own research. I'm just going to share with you what they created, the Federal Reserve, which is not federal, nor it is reserve. So they're not part of the government, and they don't have reserves. But they were here to control the money supply and job markets. Now, their reasoning was because there was too much variance in everybody having different currencies. They wanted a centralized system. In 1913, they created Federal Reserve on December 23rd, 1913, when everybody was away for vacation, on the holiday. So after 1913, the Federal Reserve took over. And after 1913, your labor went from income in real assets to monetization in debt. 1913 to 1920, we kicked off the 1920s. Margin was created, and we went into the roaring 20s. Margin was where you could put in $1 and you can get 10 back, and people were putting that back in the markets, and everybody was making so much money. Remember, there was a centralized system, and around that time, I don't know the exact number, but there was only about 11,000 banks underneath the Federal Reserve. Many banks were not underneath the Federal Reserve. Well, the banks came collapsing down in 1929, going into 1930, went into the Great Depression after 1930. Now, in 1930, the Federal Reserve brought a bunch of banks underneath the Federal Reserve. Remember, they're a centralized system, key to where we're at now, that centralized the money supply. The difference between them and us is they have a printing machine, we don't. So our grandparents went through the Great Depression, destroyed them mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's where it all started. So went into World War II, and after World War II, Bretton Woods was created, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, and America became the world's reserve currency. So not only did they centralize the system within America, but we became the centralized federal system for the world.